everybody. It's Boss Real Radio. I am Griffin Hoffman. With me is Jeff Brewer.
What's up?
Jamie Scherer.
Hello.
Hey, it's February 2022.
What?
X amount of days after that 2222222 date. What did you guys do to celebrate?
I took a number 2.
I sacrificed a goat.
Cool. Excellent. And
It wasn't
then,
for any gain. I just killed a goat. Sacrifice is a strong word. I'm wanted in several counties.
just a regular goat killing kind of day.
Yep. For me, it was Tuesday. See, that's a video game reference. I did it. I brought it back.
Thank you. That's what we do here. This Boss Bill Radio. We talk about video games, try and make each other laugh. So far, so good.
Yep. Speaking of having a laugh, how about that Street Fighter 6 logo?
Yeah, baby.
I thought I was playing a fighting game, not going to a crypto event.
Hi-yo.
Hey-oh, and what's the deal with airplane food?
But will there be crypto in Street Fighter 6? And the answer is yes.
Probably. Do you think that each
Yeah.
of Ryu's ginormous inhuman toes are NFTs?
I think his huge wing wang that's prominently displayed as an NFT.
Did you see the teaser? Did y'all watch that?
Mm-hmm.
He has large feet. Why his feet so large?
Yeah, I think he is very wide in that trailer.
He's always been a wide boy. Like that's
Oh,
not
he's
new.
extra wide in this one.
He is extra wide.
He's full Revenge of the Sith. Ewan McGregor coming out of the dropship on like Dathomir wide.
I was surprised you didn't go for the more modern Star Wars reference of Adam Driver wide in Last Jedi.
Yeah, but that's a good kind of wide.
That is a good
Thick wide. It's
We're talking like Alec Baldwin over the years. Like it looks like someone just put him in water and he just kind of expanded wide.
And then he shot a guy. That happened.
Oh no.
yeah.
This is what happens when you get too wide.
The theme of this podcast is you guys have meaningful conversation and I sabotage it with horrible remarks.
Oh, I thought unnecessary death was going to be the theme.
That too. So yeah, Ryu sure was wide.
We're off to the races here in 2022. It's February. Games are happening. Shit's buck wild. I'm not ready for it, to be honest, because we got things out and coming out. So we'll be talking a little bit here about Jokapon, Poggle Monsters, and
That's how it said.
Horizon, Journey to the West of Forbidden Nature. I know any other ones you guys want to hit. I got those are my critical too.
Yeah, I got a couple little guys, or just one little other guy. It's kind of like a meme game, but it's pretty fun.
Sweet.
Vampire Survivors, we can talk about that too.
All right, get all your jokes out here. Let's talk about video games.
Wait, we got the jokes out right now?
Yeah, shake them loose.
Can we do so we do a thing. We have a little fun here on Boss Barrel Radio. And in our Google Documents, we post humorous images of Steve Harvey. Can we do a humorous description of Steve Harvey?
Like a fanfic kind of description?
Griffin is like, I thought I had contained this. Okay. What if Steve Harvey was a Pokemon?
Okay. I'm into this now. You got me back.
What kind of ball would you have to use to catch
I
him?
mean, he's Mr. Mime, right?
Oh, no. I'm sure that exists online.
No.
Wait, okay. Serious question. When you first encountered Mr. Mime in Pokemon Legends Arceus, how great was that?
I mean, it was kind of
Don't
frightening.
remember if I have.
As
Okay.
as the Pokemon games become more and more 3D, when you come across Pokemon like that for the first time, it becomes more and more disturbing on like a visceral religious level.
Thank God that
like
it's
that.
still like N64 tier, or else you'd really be scared. Actually, I hate that crap. I hate when people say that it looks like a 64 game. Drives me
Oh, it
nuts.
doesn't look like a 60. I don't think it looks the
Looks
best
like a
it
65
possibly could,
game.
but-
Oh,
Dang.
yeah. It
Dang.
just looks like a not so well made Switch game. Like,
Oh, so like the Switch game.
Like, yeah,
But it's
sure.
got a style.
Oh,
It's got
yeah.
a something.
No, I think it
going
looks.
on.
I think it looks beautiful in its way, and I think the Pokemon actually do look really nice.
Yeah, I'll
Yeah.
say this: it's the best looking Pokemon game I could think of.
It's true. If there was only one franchise in this world and it was Pokemon, then this would be the best one, graphics wise.
But
Yeah.
it's also the first Pokemon game that I finished since Red, so it's also like
Whoa.
a really good one.
Oh my god, you actually beat it? I didn't know that.
I beat it.
That's so
Really?
I got credits. I'm doing the post game, baby.
Oh my god.
Going to
And
Johto.
it's not just because I have to do something on the train. It's because I choose to do it on the train.
Would you say?
And I choose to have rich house mommies from Summit watch me play it on the train.
And then the house mommies all gather around me. They want to know everything.
A lot of oohs and ahs. But
Do you trade any of your Pokemon with the house moms?
I try.
Yeah,
They don't have switches though.
that's weird.
So-
that seems
yeah.
that seems wrong. I don't think you're dealing with house mommies then.
I'm just delighted that you actually like this game, Jamie, because I feel like when it comes, I feel like the barometer of whether or not a Pokemon game has achieved, like, I mean, obviously Pokemon is a huge franchise, right? It's the biggest media franchise on earth, but like the barometer of whether a Pokemon game has moved outside of its traditional fan base and actually achieved like a level of cultural penetration that is particularly meaningful is like, does Jamie like it? Because every other Pokemon game that we've played and had some fondness for, Jamie has tried to play because he just keeps thinking that they're going to get him and hated it within like an hour.
And a real college try too. Like I go in excited and I go in ready to like these games, and I just tend to like games. Like even if there isn't a lot there, I can get something out of a game. And I felt like I was bashing my head against the wall with the previous couple especially, but this one just like immediately felt different. It felt more open, it felt more alive, it felt more mysterious. And it kind of in a way, because of that and because I didn't know what to expect, it kind of for me like encapsulated the feelings that I did get when I played Red back when it came out the first time. And I remember, I don't know if you guys remember this, but I remember in EGM before Pokemon came out in the States, at the very end of the magazine there was like a little like heads up, this game's going crazy in Japan, and it was like a single pick shot of a screenshot from Pokemon, Red Blue. And I was like, oh, that looks interesting. And when it came out, it was like this new thing, and I felt like it was special. And since then, it's just been so, derivative. I feel like it hasn't had that. So I think that's why I'm.
You're alluding to the question that I want to ask you is, are you ready to play this game 15 more times in different window dressings?
Oh no!
Because I am.
Maybe.
This is the thing that gets me thinking, right? Because I think we're all in agreement here. This is, I mean, to me, this was a phenomenal game.
Yep,
and
agree.
I am just going to say that my expectations were not high. I was like, why is this thing coming out in January? Why are there no previews from press at all? That was a little weird. And it just didn't look that fun. I don't know why, but something about it is just so profoundly engaging, and like, I think Jamie, you hit on it pretty well. And I think it comes down to that like openness and mystery, which I think has just been so lacking in every other Pokemon game. Like, I think that Red and Blue did it, and I think that Gold and Silver did it with, the addition of a whole new region, like the addition of like going back to Johto, and I think it was the first time the Pokemon world expanded, so that seemed pretty exciting. But I think that this is the first game in a very long time to feel like it is full of possibility. Like, this is the first game where you can like just go mess around, and that's meaningful. Like, you cannot mess around in Pokemon Sword and Shield, not really.
Yeah. And I felt like it did a really good job of, I mean, I am not used to these systems, even, obviously a lot of these systems are a departure, but I think they make a lot of smart decisions about, what they choose to consolidate and what they choose to keep somewhat shrouded in mystery that makes it really easy for I would describe myself as a new player just because I've been so absent from the franchise for so long. Makes it easy for someone like me to get back into it. And even things that, like, I would get angry when I would hear people talk about in previous games, like all of the hidden stats.
Dark type.
They take that stuff and they just make it one thing, effort level, and they just make it very clear how you can change that. And like that's exactly what I needed to be like, all right, cool. I don't need to worry about secret stats. I'm just going to take my Lickitung and make it the strongest Lickitung that it can possibly be.
There's still optimization paths, though, right? Like, you can still find a Pokemon with a nature that favors certain stat progression. Is that right, Jeff?
Yeah, so it is dramatically, and this is something else that I was, like, ready to hate, right? I was like, there's no abilities in this game, there's no hold items in this game. It is such a step back in terms of sort of the complexity of the battle system. And in some ways, so I was ready to hate that, right? Because I really like those elements in Pokemon. But yeah, there are a couple things you can still customize. So there's like natures, which you can change with a special item. And there are, as Jamie said, there's those effort values that you could increase if you want to. I didn't even really mess with those. But they're out there if you care about them. I don't think necessarily that the thing that really elevated this game was the battle system. Like, it was fun. And I kind of actually think that, and Jamie, you've played through the game now, so you kind of know what the cadence of, like, battles is. And there are a few trainer battles in this game, not a ton, but it did not feel barren for that for some reason. Like, I was surprised by how much I didn't really care about all the complexity being removed, and kind of was just like, this is still great.
Yeah, I think that, you know, go on, Griff.
No, I agree. Go for it.
Oh, I was just going to say, when I was reading reviews and watching videos about it before it came out, some of the reviewers were describing the process of, okay, you're trying to sneak up on the Pokemon first, you're gonna waste a couple balls trying to catch it, but then it's going to see you and get mad, and then you have to throw out one of your Pokemon and battle it, and then when you're doing that, then you try to catch it again. And I was thinking, oh my god, that sounds complicated. But it really isn't at all, and it's quite natural. And I think...
It's like kind of like the dumbest, easiest thing. Like, they've kind of trivialized catching Pokemon, but somehow it's really fun that they did that.
Yep, I agree.
And it's not always trivial. Like, I love just throwing 4 balls and catching 4 Pokemon in like a 10-second period. That's
fun.
Yeah,
just quick shotting them. Yeah.
But I don't know why. It just works really well.
So I'm really enjoying this game as well, and I've been trying to coalesce some thoughts on it. And if you guys recall a conversation that we had roughly, 12 years ago or so.
I remember it clearly.
Clearly, I believe we were in Japan riding a train or something, and we were discussing how to make a Pokemon MMORPG.
I remember that conversation quite well. I actually brought it up with some friends recently.
And I was thinking about that, and I was like, that is dead now because this game has checked so many of those boxes. 12 years later!
We're waiting for our checks in the mail, Pokemon Company. You're welcome.
My point in bringing that up is I think that it is so delightful because it's so refreshing in a way that it's like, finally, what we've been asking for so long has been delivered. And it's just nice. It's just nice and palatable and pleasant. And I mean, much like what is appealing to a Pokemon game to so many of us, where it is, this consistent, regular, predictable kind of thing. It's that again, but with so many quality of life improvements that it almost becomes, it becomes a different game than the Pokemon that we're used to.
Yeah, and I think it invites you to sort of luxuriate in its space in a way that, physicality has never mattered in a Pokemon game. Like, geography and, like, all that stuff, like, topography has never been important in a Pokemon game. And, like, having an actual, like, location to explore and look for Pokemon in is so nice.
Having the characters have... Speaking of space and place and a feeling like this is a strange land and I'm a tourist in it. Even the character is like literally because of the story a tourist in a strange land. Just having the main characters have odd and bizarre philosophical arguments for bewildering reasons, and I think I've noticed this in past Pokemon games that this is not something that's necessarily brand new, but just having one character say that God is time and the other saying that God is space, and they're arguing in front of you, and I'm like, what is going on? This is a Pokemon game. I love that aspect of it.
The story in this one is probably the least. It's like the worst.
No, I don't agree with that. I think they're all bad. They're all terrible.
They are all bad, but this one I
It's
just
complete
have
drivel.
zero investment into anything or anybody.
I actually
But I
agree
just-
with Jamie. Go on, but tell me more, Jamie.
No, I was just going to say, I'm not saying the story's good. I'm saying I'm bewildered at the bizarre way in which these characters kind of just like promulgate their religious beliefs in front of you for no reason whatsoever. And it kind of just takes me aback. And even though it's kind of ham-fisted, and I honestly have no idea what's going on in the story, couldn't tell you. No
Yep.
idea. It's still the way the characters talk and how passionate they are and how the differences that they kind of highlight, it adds to that sense of space that Jeff was talking about, and it definitely roots you in it, in the story and in the space, and I like that.
I liked finding the little encampments, and I liked, even though the clans were, the whole time and space thing was a little ridiculous, the fact that you could go to the different clan bases and they had like a presence on the island, and their role as wardens was like kind of rooted in the culture of the world in a way that I think other Pokemon games just don't even attempt. Like, not that they're doing an amazing job, but there's even an attempt to kind of like make this kind of organically fit. That just feels so unique to me. In the Pokemon franchise anyway. And I think that like they've been doing this like nonsense arguing, like they're in Ruby and Sapphire, like the conflict was like, I want to make the world all land, and the other one's like, I want to make the world all sea.
And the third one's like, I will make it all sexy space snakes.
Or something, I don't know. So that's not new, but I think what was new in this was like, so they had like their little friendly conflict, right? But like alongside that, there was like actual palpable danger. Like there were a few times where like, yeah, okay, you fight a guy with your Pokemon and you beat him and he's like, all right, you won, I'll step aside. Like I was going to kill you, but I guess you beat me in a Pokemon battle. Which I guess we could call like the Yu-Gi-Oh syndrome, which is like if you beat
Ted
someone,
Lasso syndrome.
if you beat someone in a children's card game, then they will no longer attempt to take your life. But anyway, I just like how they were like, Pokemon kill people. Mm-hmm. Like Pokemon are dangerous. Like when we bring this big scary Pokemon into the world, like this is the first time. And Griffin, have you beaten it?
I haven't, no.
Okay.
I just got to the ice zone minutes ago.
Okay, so in the climax of the game...
Excuse me, biome.
In the climax of the game, legendary Pokemon arrive, right? I mean, that's not surprising.
What?
And what struck me about this was the first time where I was like, holy crap, these things are kind of scary.
Yeah.
Did you have that experience, Jamie?
I definitely did.
How did they do that?
I don't know. And then when I've been battling with a couple of them, and when I throw them out, I'm like scared of them. And I love how if you throw out a Pokemon that is just the size difference between it and who you're battling is big, I love how the other Pokemon just kind of turns around and walks away a little bit, turns around again, just to have the proper amount of space in between.
But like, can we give them props though? I mean, that battle system. So I don't think it's perfect, and I think the flaws start to show as you play more of the game with like the turn-based approach. That's a little different than the past approach. Like the fact that you're not going at the same time is a little weird, but just the speed at which you can transition in and out of battle is so nice. Like no more battle transition screens. Everything is just instantaneous. You can leave a battle anytime. You just walk away.
Yeah.
It's very nice.
Doesn't matter if all of your Pokemon die. You just walk away.
Yep. I love it.
It's yeah.
I think we could come up with a list, like a codified list of all of the I keep calling them quality of life improvements because I think they are of really what sets this game apart from other things in the franchise. And and I have to stop myself from keep coming back to that and saying like, well, I like it because this. But I truly think it is, as you guys keep alluding to, it is all those little things that stack up and add up and make this Pokemon game feel so different and so powerful.
Yeah.
Because I don't think it's just like one thing we can point to and say, this is the magic, bullet. This is the nugget, the golden nugget of truth here that they discovered. Which does which I mean, I guess is interesting to think about the future for Pokemon. Like, does this now become the new formula, or does this, since it's not a quote unquote, primary entry in the franchise, does this create a fork in the timeline for Pokemon, and that we have more of this that becomes the main line, or is this a whole reevaluation?
Time. Get a little Zelda timeline going.
Yeah.
It's interesting that you say that, Griff, that it's not a main game, because according to the Pokemon Company, it is a main game.
I'm sure they chose to say that after it did so well.
No, they did not choose to say that after it did so well. They chose to say that before it did so well.
Oh.
Yeah, this is where Pokemon is starting to go. That's why they handed over the remakes to ILCA, or whatever that other company is. And there's been a lot of interesting stuff around. So there's a database that categorizes the different regions. There's no generations internally on Pokemon's tracking system for the various Pokemon. There's just regions. And Hisui was put in as the 9th region. So
the case is cracked.
No, it's I'm getting into the weeds and I'm not explaining it well, but what I'm trying to say is this a main series game? Kinda. Look, of course they could have backpedaled, right? And been no, we messed up and we're going to go back to the way things were. But clearly they had pretty strong ambitions for this title, which it's so weird to me because it felt like they didn't really push it that hard.
Yeah, that's my question, is if and we talked about this at the outset, the marketing seems odd and absent. The fervor, seems mostly, kitschy internet group.
I will say, though, I heard about this on the radio, on a friggin' Z100 style morning show. They were like, Pokemon Legends Arceus, and I was like, what?
Yeah. Well, I mean, you said it right there too. Even the title, I mean, it doesn't have the split. It doesn't have all our quintessential Pokemon, things that we're used to. And I think the difference is too, right? You don't have Nintendo coming out and very clearly saying, fans, here is your new Pokemon, right? They're saying, here's a new Pokemon Legends game.
I mean, it's. I think there was some hedging, right? But it seems to have performed extremely well. I think it had the best first week of any Pokemon game. It's been an unmitigated success, right? It's been a huge deal, and I think that there is a marketing push, right? I don't have TV, so I've only seen the ads on Nintendo on their YouTube channel, and they're actually pretty funny. I think I sent some of them to you guys.
Yeah, they're wild, and some of them are wild, and some of them are just terrible.
Yeah, it's a good mix.
Yeah, it reminds me a lot of Metal Gear Solid 4 intro commercials of some of them are incredible, and some are what am I doing here? Somebody had a budget.
It's very interesting. It's I think for a company that gets accused time and time again of just playing it extremely safe, this to me seems like a huge risk.
Agreed.
Yeah.
And it is a big departure, and it's really throwing themselves into territory they're not familiar with. And I feel so optimistic about what they could do with what they have established in this game, because I loved this game, but it didn't look that great, and the 5 areas they built were cool, but probably could have been a little bit cooler. There's so many ways in which they could build on this foundation and still make it really, really fun to play, I think.
So I bring that, I raised this topic and direction of conversation because I want to see that future, Jeff. I want to see Nintendo embrace change in the Pokemon franchise, and I hope that's the direction that this ends up leading them down.
Yeah.
I'm not hopeful, just to be
That's
honest,
fine.
because I mean, we've all been jaded in the past, and I think the question that I would have would be, what's the next step for you? I think Jeff, biggest Pokemon fan here, is, you know, what is Arceus not doing that you would want to see it do?
Yeah.
I think what is the number one thing versus battling.
I guess. I mean,
so people can poop in hallways again, just like back in the day.
it's
of
hard
hotels.
for me to say, right? Because like I also, did people poop in hallways for Pokemon tournaments?
Yeah, and they got kicked out.
Oh no, that's too bad. It's hard for me to say because like I don't do competitive battling, right? Like I don't care about that. As a for my own purposes, I haven't engaged with the competitive battling scene. I follow some people who do it. I'm interested in it, and I like kind of looking at. I like when the Pokemon have different like flavor that comes from like abilities and things like that. So I wouldn't want those to be gone necessarily forever. I guess, and like they're not, right? Like, so people data mine this game, and like the new Pokemon have abilities, even though they don't in the game. Like, we already know what the abilities are going to be for these new Pokemon because they're like tagged in the game, in the files.
The database.
Can you explain what abilities are? I don't.
Yep. So every Pokemon has.
Way back in 1993.
No, it's starting in Generation 3. They introduced this concept of abilities, which are basically like every Pokemon has some kind of characteristic about them that activates or affects them under certain conditions, right? So like a really basic ability is like Blaze, which makes it so that when your HP is under 33%, your fire attacks do 1.5 damage.
Okay.
So that's like
and these Pokemon have that, but in the course of normally playing Arceus,
you'll never see them. They don't exist in Arceus, but they exist in the code. So like more complicated abilities, like a Pokemon like Shedinja is really unique in that it has 1 health, but it has an ability called Wonder Guard, which makes it so that it can only take damage if it gets hit by a super effective hit. That's an example of like an interesting ability. Or like
gotcha.
Maybe a Pokemon, if it's hit with a fire move, it absorbs the attack and then gets a special attack boost or something. Like, stuff like that.
But then, just to be clear, too, it's not like Wonder Guard, there's a certain % chance that any Pokemon could have it. There's certain options available for each Pokemon.
Yes, so there's usually up to 3 abilities a Pokemon can have, and it gets more complicated. We can go way into the weeds. Starting in the 5th generation, they added hidden abilities, which are usually like kind of more unique abilities and a way of adding a 3rd ability to existing Pokemon. But yeah, basically, there's only so many abilities a given species can have. So for example, all Shedinja have the ability Wonder Guard, whereas, I don't know, Arcanine has like Flash Fire and Intimidate are its 2 abilities, and like Intimidate lowers attack when they come in. Flash Fire does the stuff with fire damage. So like, yeah, it's different types of abilities, but it's another way to kind of differentiate every Pokemon, and especially in a roster of like almost 1,000 Pokemon or 905 Pokemon at this point. Like it's a way to make individual guys shine, even if their typing has already been used or like they're otherwise kind of boring. It's just a really fun way, in my opinion, to add flavor, and I wouldn't want to lose that element because I think it leads to some cool design.
Well, it doesn't seem
I
like
agree.
you're going to lose it.
I think it was also, though, pleasant to not have that, to kind of start from the basics again.
It was. I found the battle system to be fun, and I kind of like the strong style, agile style, and I felt that pairing it back kind of allowed you to focus on the Pokemon that were in the game.
Exactly, yeah.
It just simplified things a bit, and I think it was a good way to kind of ease into this new style of fighting. A lot of people have pointed out that like the non-synchronous move selection doesn't really work outside of a single-player game. Like, I go, you go, versus we both choose our moves at the same time. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Again, it doesn't really matter for the purposes of the game, but it's something that could be tweaked, I think, for future games of this style.
Yeah, I think that I've always been kind of flummoxed by the speed stat, and I think this was maybe an attempt at trying something new, is the vibe that I got from it.
I still felt a little flummoxed because sometimes I'd look at the little turn order and it wouldn't work.
Right.
It would like say one thing and then it would play differently, and I'm like, that's not right.
Right. Or it's like, oh, cool, I'll just start the battle and I don't even get the turn order, and I get hit 3 times, and I'm like, cool, that'd have been nice to know.
Yeah.
There.
Yeah, that's
from the outset.
Not so hot, yeah. So yeah, like I'd love to see how they change that, but like I loved how hard this game is. I don't know if anyone feels that way.
I
haven't encountered that yet.
Okay.
I've only been challenged. Go ahead, Jamie.
No, I don't think I ever I'm not leveling up. You know, I don't think I ever lost.
I've lost a couple times. I like reloaded so I wouldn't pass out, but I lost a trainer battle or two.
Yeah, I have yet to lose a trainer battle. I have got my ass beat by the Ancient Guardian Pokemon, just because I am hyper impatient with it, and I just prefer to stand right in its face and smash the beanbag ball into it, and instead of like trying to treat it like a boss fight and dodge and understand movesets.
One of them got me. Electrode, maybe? I don't know. One of them got me. I don't know.
I got stuck in the fire dog.
Oh,
one.
yeah.
It was like, hey, you can't cross this thing nor throw your beanbag far enough, so get fucked. I was like, cool. Nice. I'll just restart this one, I guess.
I mean, maybe the game didn't feel that hard to you guys. I felt like it was the first Pokemon game where I experienced any tension at all. Like, any fear. Like, it was a game where my Pokemon were getting killed.
Is maybe that, I guess, is it more self-imposed tension because you're trying to do things you normally wouldn't be doing, or is it you're finding encounters that truly are testing your mettle?
Well, I mean, there is an endgame encounter that is pretty tough, which you guys will come upon later, but no, I don't think it's self-imposed, really. I think that, like, you know, like, attacks seem to do more damage. Like, your Pokemon die a lot easier in this game than they did in other games. Like, I would find that yeah, go ahead, Jamie.
I do have Pokemon dying all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just feels like you might actually lose, and sometimes you do. Or maybe you don't.
I feel like I don't have my steamroller, right? Like my starter is like always in my back pocket. That
Exactly.
I'm like, aha, worst case scenario, I can just fall back on this guy and always win no matter what. There's that, but I'm also bad at Pokemon, so that's, you know, that's been no real comfort, you know, as time has gone on and I've played more Pokemon games. I'm like, this actually doesn't work anymore for me.
What if being bad at Pokemon makes you good at Pokemon Legends Arceus?
Then call me the Pokemon Master.
I don't know. I mean, I expected, you know, when I learned that your dudes are always getting experience all the time, I was like, oh, I'm going to be so over-leveled. Like, I have played this game. I have not held back. I have indulged my OCD tendencies, and my guys are not that insanely over-leveled at all. Like, when I fought the last trainer in the game, I was below his level, and I was like, this is insane. Like, this is an actual, like, balanced experience curve for once.
I feel like I've been doing that, though, and again, that's why I brought up the self-imposition, because I feel like as I get closer to that level cap, like when I'm, you know, 1 to 5 levels away from it with a couple guys, that's when I'm like, all right, it's a roster change-up time, and then I'll kind of keep some of the heavy hitters and then to throw in a new squad and kind of run with the new folks for a bit.
Yeah, that's definitely true, and like I do that to a degree. I think in Sword and Shield, like what would happen is you would switch up your roster and you'd go into a battle, and then you'd hit with the super effective move and the guy would die, and then you would hit with the super effective move and the guy would die, and you would kill everyone anyway. In this game, you hit with the super effective move, the guy dies, and then the new guy comes out, hits you, and you die. And I'm like, okay, now we're actually trading.
Yeah, that mechanic, I think, and I'm glad you brought that up. I think that is the one that is the most interesting decision there, where it's like you can swap Pokemon at any time without that typical penalty for a hit. But then at the same point, you can't, like, you know, throw out a sacrificial goat and then kind of, you know, let it beef it, and then prime yourself for your next super effective attack.
Yeah, I mean there are fewer avenues to sort of, yeah, as you said, sort of gaming the system and like, throwing out a regular chump and then bringing in your powerhouse and just smoking the rest of the team.
I just like how it tells you what moves are super effective right there on the move list when you're choosing the Pokemon to throw in. And I loved how early in the game it's like, here's a giant spreadsheet of type matchups. Take a look. And I'm like, oh, okay. And then I tried to find it. They're like, you can always see this. And I'm like, okay. I couldn't find it in the game. And then I realized that the game is just going to tell me, okay, this is a super effective move. This is not. Yeah.
I'm so glad it tells you.
That's been there since the last prior entry, though.
It was in
it
Sword
gives
and
you
Shield,
the matchups. Yeah.
Okay.
I still love it. I think it was great. And I just think
it's super handy.
Yeah.
I agree with you there. It's a good selling point for people who I'm trying to convince to play new Pokemon too, because I'm like, hey, it's right here. You don't have to have the matchups memorized anymore. Because I don't.
Even I don't 100% remember all the time, and I'm like deeply in. I just got 2 Pokemon plushies delivered to my house.
Nice.
In the walls, baby.
Which ones?
Obama Snow and Drapion.
Obama Snow.
Obama Snow. You probably
new image gallery.
You probably know Obama Snow and Drapion now, Jamie, because you've seen them in the game.
Yes.
Yeah.
I Obama Snow definitely comes to mind. Drapion.
Drapion is the purple scorpion guy.
Oh yeah.
With the 2 big arms.
Oh, yeah.
I love him. I've always loved him.
He's cool.
You got that guy in Japan. Jamie, new Pokemon enthusiast, lover, trainer extraordinaire. Do you have a go-to team or a couple faves now that you're returning, now that the Prodigal Son returns?
I do, but here's the problem. So if I like a Pokemon, I give it another name, thereby completely forgetting the Pokemon's actual name. So I named my Fire Boy that I started with Arsonista, and so I don't know what type of Pokemon he is, but he is Arsonista to me.
I love it.
He's a barista of arson, and that is, and that's who he is.
Is he Blazing?
Arsonista was my favorite Bloodborne boss.
Wait,
or child of Arsonista.
Is Arsonista Blazing?
He's Blazing.
Yeah, he sure
100%.
is. Yep.
He's Blazing. I have him. I have a rhinoceros. I have a sea lion who grew a beard. Yep. I have a electric giant fluffy thing. I've got the 2 legendary Pokemon, and sometimes I like a Machamp in there too.
Oh, Machamp?
But the big one.
The big 4-arm man?
Yeah, the big 4-arm one. I got a feral
just
one of those, and I like him.
Pokemon.
I love that you called him
just the
feral.
regular dude.
I love
it. What is it? What are they?
Alpha Pokemon. I know.
Alpha. There we
go.
go.
Feral Pokemon.
Oh, I thought you named your Pokemon Pharrell.
Oh man.
God.
But this tells volumes about how accessible this game is, that I don't remember the name of these things. I don't remember what things are called, and I'm still having a blast. And even within that, I'm able to go in and be obsessive. I am obsessive about effort levels. Maybe that's why I haven't been losing, because the second I get a new Pokemon that I like, I'm like, okay, gotta go to Obsidian Fieldlands and catch a bunch of Wurmples so that I can release them and get a bunch of dust and get everyone's levels up.
That's funny.
I just do that
watching
kind of
strat videos.
I've used Grit Dust on one Pokemon, and that is Pachirisu for that mission where you have to kill the Ursaring. All right, no one did that mission. Well, there's a mission where someone's like, Pachirisu sure is strong, right? And you're like, sure. And then they're like, okay, kill Ursaring with one. He's the electric squirrel. Okay, anyway, that happened, and I used Grid Dust.
So I was going to segue into regular pets fighting each other with Jamie's just distillation of Pokemon into real animals and try and talk about Super Auto Pets. But now I wanted to just touch on that, Jeff, the fact that there's like quests in this game in the way that there would be in like an MMO. like side quests, and fuck, they suck so bad.
I kind of like
But it's
the
nice to
quests.
have them.
Yeah, like they're kind of okay. They're not
Right,
amazing.
give me scraps and I shall feast. It is
Exactly. You know, when you starve me for this long, I'll take whatever slop you want to shovel down my throat.
I just
Yeah.
stopped doing them, and then what I do is I just play the game, and then later if I bump into a townsperson, I'll just talk to them, and usually they're like, "Oh yeah, thanks so much for getting that Pokemon that I asked you for like 20 hours ago."
So you're telling me
And you just
you haven't done every quest in the game? That's so weird.
no.
that quest log is stacking up for me
I
as
have
well.
2
and
left.
It's yeah, that makes sense. Jokes aside, I do enjoy that they exist, and there has been some delightful ones. I think that if there's one thing that this game could do to improve on for me as a player, it's they need to fucking shore up that writing. Like there needs to be an editor. There needs to be somebody who has some fucking concept of direction and storytelling involved in this.
Benny,
Because that's the new frontier,
Benny
man.
the potato mochi man, he has an arc. Jamie knows.
Oh my god.
Yes, he
He
does.
has,
I hate that
he
guy.
has an arc. You won't see it coming. Because I
Yeah.
sure as
Okay.
heck did not.
I neither.
All right. Well, you got me intrigued. Not that I wasn't going to stop. That I was going to stop playing. I'm enjoying this game quite a
Are
bit.
you guys at least doing the collectathon, like the Get the Dots quest, where you have to collect the spirit orbs or whatever?
I'm doing it, and I collected all of them in one area, and nothing happened. So I was
Is it like the
disappointed.
wisps thing?
That's how you get Spiritomb.
I mean, when I see
Yeah.
him, but I don't really care.
I mean, it's nice to have things when you see them.
Yeah.
I haven't tried to get them
But
all
there's-
yet.
I mean, hey, tell me this. I don't think I need more things to collect in a Collectamon game.
But what about the unknowns? Have you caught a few unknowns?
I got a couple.
I got a few.
I don't think I've caught a single one.
Okay. Well, anyway, those are kind of cool.
I think the other thing that yeah. I don't want, again, dangerous territory of getting down my list of things that are just quality of life improvements. But last thoughts on Pokemon Legends Arceus.
I like it. I got a rhinoceros, and sometimes he punches people, and a horseshoe shows up for no reason, and I like that.
I'm trying to figure out who the
I like that too.
rhinoceros is. Is he Rhyhorn?
Is it Rhydon?
Or Rhydon?
Rhyhorn?
Yeah.
He's got to be one of
Okay.
those.
Was it one of Giovanni's
He
boys?
can turn into Rhyperior if you give him armor. Find that in the space voids.
What?
Yep.
Yep.
What?
I just want to say, yeah, it's really good. And I think Griffin is totally right about the quality of life stuff and the speed of the game. I think the focus on place and exploring a space and freedom are actually unique and go beyond quality of life for me.
Agreed.
Do you want to hear how broken my brain is, guys?
Hit me.
This game I'm enjoying because it reminds me of Genshin.
You know what? Look, it reminds me of Breath of the Wild. I mean, it's got a lot of that DNA.
That's what
Yeah.
I'm saying is there's when Jamie you were describing it as like that new feeling of like return to like that awe and enamored joy that you had of playing red and blue and whatnot. I get that. I totally get that. And it reminds me, exactly recently of exploring new landmass in Genshin Impact and in the same way that, every fucking game is doing that these days now. But Breath of the Wild, another easy go-to reference point for
yeah.
what's good stuff. But I don't think it's purely that open world exploration. I think there's something more that I can't quite put my finger on, except for just citing that it reminds me of that ephemeral feeling that I got when playing.
Can I just say, not specifically about Pokemon Legends, but the fact that is being commodified in a way that doesn't destroy it in games like Elden Ring and Breath of the Wild. Mm-hmm. Obviously, we haven't played Elden Ring yet, but that's what the report is. I'm delighted to see that, because that is such a cool thing.
Yeah.
I'm good with what we got now because I don't need any more of it, man.
I'm good to see it every once in a while. Give me a few masterworks.
Yeah, absolutely. I just don't like this trend that we're going down of every game needs to have this as its tent pole. Like the bigger the better. Like playing a little game called Horizon Forbidden West, I am extremely overwhelmed by the infinite possibilities of exploration and open world, and I'm like, man, it feels almost like a compulsion that these games have now, where it's like, well, we have to, it's like the Grand Theft Auto syndrome of like, well, we have to make it like this because it won't have value unless we do it this way.
Does Horizon do what Breath of the Wild et al. Do, which I think is sort of like make the physicality matter, or does it do what Grand Theft Auto does, which is like give you a lot of quests that send you over a large swath of land?
So Jamie, I'll be quick here, and then I'll turn it over to you because I've only played a couple hours. So I just got to the point where I believe the Hinterlands portion opens up, where it's go and start taking some quests, and then I haven't gone west yet, and I'm assuming that I'm in a spot where it's like, hey, go do a bunch of go have Horizon Light before you go do Horizon Diesel, and then you go ahead and do that and waste a bunch of time in this little tiny zone before you get in the big zone. So I don't feel qualified to answer that question, Jeff, because right now it has been very linear.
But did you take an elevator down into a canyon?
I don't think so. I killed a snake thing. Killed a snake robot. A spitting snake robot.
Oh, so you I don't think that you didn't go back to Meridian yet.
I got a cool hat and a new spear.
See, you are not in the Hinterlands yet. I
haven't gone west.
Yeah. So I will say this about Horizon Forbidden West, because I am farther than you, Griff, but I'm not that far. I believe I am in the Hinterlands. I adore the game. I adored the first game. I knew I was going to adore this game because it looked exactly like the first game. And in a lot of ways it very much is that first game. Like the combat initially is a little loose and leaves a little something to be desired in much the same way that I felt about the first game. Although I do feel like as Horizon kind of inculcates you into its combat system, I think it just becomes more and more rewarding, because when the game really pays off combat wise is when you're shooting off specific pieces off of enemies and you're going in with a very clear objective. I think that's when it really shines, and much like the first game, that's not going to happen here for a bit. And also in terms of the exploration, much like the first game, sometimes it's a little vague. You don't know what you can climb on and what you can't climb on. Sometimes you get frustrated because you your character gets hung up on a crevice for a couple seconds, and it just doesn't always flow the way you think it should. And for such a beautiful, quadruple A game, it's amazing how many of those hitches there are. And to that end too, it doesn't, unlike a game like Breath of the Wild or Pokemon, I feel like this game does not feel confident in its open worldness. Like it doesn't, Breath of the Wild is, you're gonna, in the starting area, you're gonna get a weird old man and a campfire, and that's it, and you're gonna love it. And you do. And this game is like the opposite. It feels so insecure, and it just keeps throwing things at you, which I think obscures the fact that within that soup there are some things that are truly wonderful, and I'm already experiencing them. And it's usually stuff that's off the beaten path. Griffin, when you do get into the Hinterlands, if you just turn around and go the exact opposite direction, you'll hit a completely optional quest about these miners. There was an exploded mine, and you have to go in there, you have to save some people. And it's completely skippable, but it has this totally optional side quest has better voice acting and mocap than some like other AAA games, and there's more characters in that little side quest, more fully fleshed out characters that even Shannon, when she's watching me playing, she's like remarking on, like, oh, that's such a cool character. Is that a mainline character who you're going to be hanging out with? And I'm like, no, I think this is a person who's literally in this one quest and who I'll never see again. And that the first game did the same thing, and in much of a Witcher 3 kind of way. And I feel like that's where this game is going to shine for
Yeah.
me. It's going to shine in the later combat. It's going to shine in the small missable moments that feel special because you know you could have missed them. And that's all going to be there. But I guess I guess I'm a little disappointed that I feel like, at least initially, I don't feel like it has grown as much as I wished it had. Even though it's beautiful and I know I'm going to love it, and I'm sure it'll be a GOTY contender for me. That's where I'm at. But I'm curious about what your initial impressions are from what you have played, Griff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think unlike Pokemon, I shouldn't say that. My expectations in this game, to kind of just set them off, were coming in with like The Last of Us 2 kind of feeling of like, this does not need to exist. Technically, I'm sure this will be a phenom, a masterpiece. It will do great things in terms of, leveraging the hardware and being a Sony exclusive, blah, 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 blah. Do so good, such good stuff. And I think it's, unlike Last of Us 2, it is a gameplay and does have features and mechanics that I do want to engage with more. I did, the hunting system and the robot combat was cool in the first one, and it makes sense. It's very Monster Hunter in its dissecting an enemy through combat, but this time it's not a living creature, so you don't have to feel bad.
So true.
Smush its brain because it's a robo brain.
Get that brain.
Rip its muscles off. Literally, they're called robot
They're
muscles,
tubes.
and you need them.
Mechanical muscles.
Series of twos.
So that being said, that I don't feel like this is another game in the territory of this does not need to exist. I'm enjoying it, but I'm already kind of feeling like, honestly, just kind of looking for an excuse to get out of playing it, just because of how much is coming down the pipe right now with Elden Ring. We still needed to wrap up the Pokemons, and Jesus, with the Final Fantasy, Strangers in a Strange Land.
Are we all gonna play that, by the way?
Friends of fuck yes, I'm gonna play that
Yes.
When is that coming
I think
out?
March.
Oh my god!
Jamie, did you watch the trailer?
That game's so
featuring
good.
the Frank?
Of course,
Okay,
I
good.
watched it. Of
I
course.
wasn't sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
But
good.
I feel, Jamie, you're talking about you're in the hinterlands. I am not. Everything that I've heard is, try and get it through that as quickly as possible, because it, the game doesn't respect your time. So that's my trepidation, right? It's like, is this going to be a game where like Jeff was kind of alluding to in that initial question of like, does the system complement the experience? Does the open world nature jive with the play experience, or does it feel tacked on and unnecessary and vestigial, like in a GTA kind of format? And from everything that I've heard, it does sound like it's that latter thing, and it's not elevating it. But I can't say because I haven't touched it myself. But I will say what I have been playing, I've been having a great time with. So I'm feeling compelled to continue to have at it.
You should. I mean, I think it seems like it's going to be a great story again. It's wonderfully acted again. I agree with you 100% that I don't understand. This must be in some design doc somewhere. Like, because Assassin's Creed Valhalla did it too. Let's give you the entire game with a full story arc in a very limited area and let you essentially like play a preview build of the game, and then we'll let you play the broader game. And I feel like that's
like the world in like Breath of the Wild, where you have the little top of the plateau area.
Except they don't do it. They don't do it as well.
They don't. They don't. That's
get
the
it.
thing. The plateau. They don't get it at all. The plateau is the appetizer. In Assassin's Creed Valhalla, it's like, here's a full course meal, and here's a bigger full course meal after that. And like, I feel like it's the same way here, and it kind of, I don't know. I think that lends to what I'm trying to describe about how it doesn't feel secure to me. It doesn't feel confident to me in terms of its design choices. It feels like there's a lot of pressure on these devs to show you right off the bat how much you can expect from this game and how much it's going to give you and how generous it's going to be. But I feel like I also, in addition to, you know, looking at the buffet and being impressed by what's on offer, I also get the sense that it's like the waiter is standing over my shoulder and like being like, what are you going to get now? What are you going to order? What do you want? I don't know. I feel like there's a naturalness that's just not there.
Can I just say,
and that I'm hoping will be there in what's his name? The From game that I'm going to play on Friday.
Ring.
Can I just say of Pokemon, something that I like that I forgot to express, or that I just find kind of funny is like movement in that game is like kind of the worst and the best at the same time. And you were talking about how it's secure and maybe Horizon isn't. I'm thinking about how jank like walking up a slope with your character is in that game.
Oh God. Yeah.
But like it's kind of adorable at the same time. Like you can use your stupid deer and you can like jank hop up a cliff and like you're like, was I supposed to do that? But like they just don't care.
Exactly.
But I feel like the stakes are lower.
It's true. The stakes are lower, but it's kind of great.
Yeah, that's where I think Pokemon succeeds to Jamie's point in that when the stakes are lower, the play field is so flat already. Those minor quality of life things become mountains versus where you have an established history here with Horizon, and now it's like, what am I getting?
Well, they're trying to marry scripting to open world, right? And I think when you're trying to do that, you can't afford to have like a river that's wide enough that you can jump your deer over it and swim the rest of the way. Even though I love that.
So, Jamie, I wanted to bring a question back to your analogy of the buffet. Is the waiter is it truly that there are so many different things on this menu and so many things that are appealing to you that you're like, wow, overwhelming. This doesn't feel like it's, really, it's found its direction in terms of option, or is it just so much content of the same kind of limited items that are done so well that you feel like you're compelled to pursue all of them to their ends? Do you feel like you have to do every story quest, you have to do every task, you have to explore, see every vista because they're so immaculate?
I think, to the game's credit, I think it is closer to that second thing that you described. And I'll give you an example. In the Hinterlands, which is a valley, it is kind of masterfully laid out. There's kind of like a central hub. There's a city that's somewhat, down the valley. And as you're going through the valley, you're kind of crisscrossing back and forth from one cliffside to the other. And once you get up to the top of, you'll see something in the distance that'll look interesting, and Aloy will usually comment on it. And it might not even be something that's like on the map, but if you look, she'll be like, "Oh, look at that tower. I wonder what that is." And then you'll go there, and then it'll be cool, and something will happen, and then you'll be up there, and you'll look down into the valley and you'll see the hub that you need to go to because the story quest marker is over it. And then at the same time, there'll be another one of those towers on the opposite side of the valley. Aloy will comment on it. And then I have to go over there because I just have to see it because it's cool. And it's definitely closer to the second thing, to the game's credit. At the same time, it's just so much. And you kind of get lost in the soup, and you're wondering like, why am I here again? Oh yeah, there's an embassy because I need to go west. Why do I need to go west again? And so you're just kind of forgetting the thrust of the story, and it's just too big, maybe, or maybe it is for me. I don't know.
Do you think it may have something to do where it truly is suffering from the sequel syndrome of you've saved the world, sort of, and now it's time to save the world again, yet the stakes really aren't the stakes are still there, right? Like the game starts up by saying like the world is dying again or whatever, and but it just doesn't quite feel like it's that impactful, so you don't have that impetus to continue to drive you forward.
100%. And it's a shame because you do save the world in the first main game, and then there's the wonderful DLC that came after the original first game, which focused more on your relationship with Sylens, Lance Reddick, and that DLC was less of a save the world thrust and more of a, let's find out more of this mystery, the mystery of Aloy's birth and the mystery of, why 1,000 years ago these weird tech bros decided to build this whole Horizon Zero Dawn thing. And that seemed more intriguing and interesting and had rich characters. And now it's back to, the world is dying again and you got to save it again. And it's kind of unfortunate.
Yeah.
That's too bad.
Yeah.
I feel like I should give it a fair shake, but I find myself in the shoes of Griffin where I'm just like, Elden Ring is out in 2 days. Like, how am I going to do this?
That said, it's really good. It's like really, really, really good. And I know it sounds like I'm down in it, and I'm not. Like, I'm thinking about it now, and I just can't wait to play more. I'm sure Elden Ring will supplant it for me, but at the same time, I know I'm going to finish this game eventually. It's a great game.
Here's the thing. I can only get the TV so many times. I told Jessica there's going to be a game and I'm going to be using the TV again. This might be a new phenomenon for you. So that's where I'm coming from.
I gotcha. Well, since we're just being completely honest about stuff, the Horizon, the first game, I actually didn't play it all the way through.
Wow. So your opinions aren't valid.
Null and void, absolutely. So in fact, it by that logic, it is a terrible game. Because I haven't finished it, because it hasn't proven itself. No, I didn't play it. My friend played it. I was out of town. I believe it was the same year as Breath of the Wild that came out too, right? So he played it, and Gene, he then described the whole thing to me in excruciating detail, and then which is good, and told me the story beats, and I was like, wow, sounds incredible. And then I was like, it's time for me to play it and experience everything that he said and fell in love with. And I was like, I don't like playing this game.
Oh no.
So without having that story narrative and that hook and just the unfolding mystery of this cool new world to drive me, it was a very rare situation where I didn't feel compelled to engage in it because I had already understood the story and all like the nuance and everything that had been rolled out that was like those big, fantastic story moments. So I'm hoping that something is able to hook me with this one, because I mean, I don't think that the playing of this game is actually stupendous.
I didn't get super grabbed by the first one. I was in what I think is the hinterlands of game number 1, and I took some quests, and I was like, I hate these quests, and then I never got anywhere.
Yeah.
It's really a shame that the game saves its best asset, really, which is that sort of end game combat that really truly is difficult, that you have to plan for. You have to try and fail a couple of times. Griffin, I think the comparison you made to Monster Hunter, and specifically Monster Hunter World, is extremely apt, because it really does, at the end of the first game and in the DLC for the first game, it really does feel like that. You're spending a lot of time gearing up for these battles, thinking how you're going to approach it, and you watch a guide on YouTube and you still screw up. Like, that's how hard the combat can be in the first game. And this game has a lot of cool options in terms of curtailing the difficulty, both in terms of exploration.
That does not sound appealing.
You can get very, very granular in terms of curtailing the difficulty to exactly the way that you want. I found it incredibly rewarding, and I'm hoping that this game does the same. And it's such a shame because, like I said, when you just start over again, and the first time you swing your spear at an enemy, it's just not good. It's just they forgot the basics. It's just, it does not, the running around, as Vinny Caravello would say, is not good.
Oh, no.
The swinging is not good, but later
I was going to ask,
good.
So yeah, I in the intro bit that I played through, like, it doesn't even tell you that you can hit things with a weapon. It's just like, shoot him with the arrow and then be stealthy or something. I don't know,
yes.
heal. and I accidentally press buttons in combat to swing this weapon, and everything feels loosey-goosey, and like there's 0 to no impact from my character, which makes sense when I'm fighting gigantic muscle-bound robots. So I get that, but then still when I'm like plinking things off it with shooting my arrows and targeting certain areas, it just doesn't, like, they kind of just like limply float off like it's a turkey coming out of the ground on a Capcom game. It's just like, that didn't feel right here. So I don't know. I don't want to nitpick it. It's just
this game is all about status ailments, and they do not tell you. Instead, they're like, you have a light attack and a heavy attack. Why? I don't know. Dark Souls. And
no, they did.
They should just take those.
They did. They're like, here's your second weapon after your bow. Here, it's the ice grenade. Throw the ice grenade at the thing, and you do. And then your AI partner says, that didn't do anything. And I'm like, okay, noted.
Because you have to build it up. They really, I'm with you, Griff. They do a horrible job of onboarding you. But when you get into the swing of it and you realize how the game kind of uses status ailments and how you have to build up these states and then take advantage of them, and if you don't, battling becomes extremely tedious. And I feel like most people don't do that and just experience the combat as quite tedious.
So what you're telling me is it's like Xenoblade Chronicles 2. So you have to do the insane chain attack minigame in order to do actual damage, or else the battles are tedious. Perfect.
That's why.
Or the other side of it is, right, like you spend a bunch of time stalking, reading the scripting AI paths of how the things, and the game like literally is like, here, we're surfacing the AI pathing for it, so you can go in and plant traps and stealth your way through certain locations and set yourself up for an advantage against a boss, or maybe not a boss, but definitely, enemy encounters. And again, my problem with that design is it's just so tedious, and if both options are tedium, oh boy, not for me.
One option is Monster Hunter World-esque tedium, which can be great, and the other option is just
co-op,
like poorly surfaced, half Dark Souls-y for reasons that are inexplicable kind of tedium, but not done well.
You guys, I heard that in Elden Ring, there's a bridge and something cool happens on it. You guys excited for that?
Get spoilers.
I don't know what it is, but apparently it's a cool bridge.
I saw a picture of a bridge.
There's a horse. I love that horse.
See, that's the problem. You could say all these things, and then I'm just like, there's a bridge, and something's going to happen to me on the bridge. And that's going to be really wild. And I'm so excited.
And there's a cauldron man.
There's a cauldron man.
Do you guys think it's weird that nobody calls them Soulkiros? And it's always Soulsborns?
I don't want to call it a Soulkiro. I didn't even really like Sekiro that much, to be quite honest.
Yeah, me either.
It really kind of bounced off me.
I think that's probably the reason why.
I don't understand Sekiro to this day. I occasionally will open up Sekiro and be like, okay, this time I'm going to get it. And I can't. I can't play Sekiro. I can't parry. I don't get it.
I'm the same way, Jamie. I can't. It doesn't work for me.
It's very fiddly.
The risk reward is too high.
Is this game going to take some of those elements? I'm really worried about that.
From the sound of things, it skews ever so slightly more forgiving in its mechanics. So I'm guessing it'll be more more in the direction of like easily telegraphed, probably more Dark Souls-y. It would be my guess.
Jeff, I wanted to say I've been getting the Twitter drip feed of reviews and hot takes and tips for Elden Ring all day long, and boy oh boy, has today been a day where I'm like, day one reviews are absolutely worthless, and so is this whole culture in video games, because everything is worthless. No. Everything that I've seen for Elden Ring, so I've heard, the only thing that I haven't heard is that it's like Sekiro.
Great, perfect.
So that's good. Everything that I have heard has been some recombination, some Mad Libs of, if you like blank Souls game, you will blank insert pleasure word about this game.
I read not any full reviews and a couple of highlights from 2 or 3 reviews, and then I was like, I'm good.
Yeah,
I saw a bunch
yeah.
of 10 out of 10s. That's what I saw. And I was like, okay, that tells me nothing.
Yeah, I think we could have a conversation around preview and review culture as the world is having it right now too. But
I know Imran Khan didn't post a review because he didn't finish it.
smart.
Yep.
Loser.
Because why would you bother reviewing a game if you don't get to the very end? Owned.
So you didn't even play it. May as well just throw it in the garbage.
Anyway,
Why even make an ending for a video game at that point? You know what I'm saying? Like, just have it
Yeah,
go,
that's true.
and then arbitrarily stop whenever you want as the developer.
so
But that's what I do with my favorite game. I get to the very end and I'm like, I don't want this to end. And it
did
won't.
beat Final Fantasy
Ever.
VII remake though.
I did beat the remake. This is true.
And it all makes sense.
7 seconds to the end. I don't know what that means.
I have been playing. One game I didn't put on my thing is I have been playing the Yuffie DLC.
yeah.
And Shannon, I
like
like
it.
it. Shannon will occasionally watch me play it, and she is just baffled.
It's very anime.
It's just,
It's
Yeah.
extremely shonen anime.
Shonen, yeah.
I like her though. I like the
Yeah.
character, and I think it's a cute little
She's
thing.
lucky. How far along are you? Are you
Yeah.
in chapter 2 yet?
Probably not. I'm still
Do you
very
have
early.
Ronin?
I don't know who
Sonon.
that is. I'm playing a lot of the game Condor.
You
Fort
get Sonon,
Condor.
I think, before the game. Your ally?
I don't think
No?
so.
Okay, maybe not.
I don't think I have
No.
a guy.
Okay.
I think it's just
Okay.
me. I'm still wearing a Moogle costume. Does she wear that the entire
Yeah.
time?
No.
No.
Have you met
Okay.
Roche? Spoilers. Yeah,
I did.
He so wants to.
I was so
wants to
happy.
bone Cloud. Real
Yeah,
bad.
he does. Like
Who
really, really
does?
badly.
True.
You know, theirs is a pure love.
Yep. Yep.
Speaking of pure love, Windjammers 2 is a really good game. If you guys you should play
Okay.
that. It's really
Can we
good.
play it online
Switch?
together?
I refuse.
Oh, because netcode.
I hear the netcode's bad, but also, I mean, it's a couch co-op
Who
only
am I
game
gonna
for
play
me.
it with then? You're acting like I have friends, Griffin?
I don't know, man. I mean,
I'll play it with you,
Put up
Jeff.
some wanted ads, I guess.
That's what
I just had to get that one out there.
just been doing that.
Is it how are you playing it, Griff? On Switch?
No. I'm playing it on Xbox One. Nope, Xbox Series X. I'm playing it on the free machine.
The free machine.
Yeah. Yep.
Gotcha.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, it's cool. If you guys like Windjammers, you'll like this game. If you like, co-op, competitive fighting games, you'll like this game. It's very good.
Cool.
I mean, I don't really like fighting games, but I do kind of like fun sports games.
If you like dive kick,
I do like dive kick.
fighting games, you'll like Windjammers too.
Maybe I can get it on the Switch, and then Jeff, you and I can play it on the Switch at PAX
Yeah.
That's the way to do it.
I love it.
in a cramped hallway while people
what it
crop
is.
dust us.
Yeah. At the Yotel. We're not staying at the Yotel, but we're just going there.
Yeah, we're just gonna go to here.
We're going to hijack the robot and put it on there.
Griff, you're missing out.
Yeah,
missing out.
it sounds like I am.
Griff,
Hotel's
so you
open.
have a beefy list here, and I'm curious if any of these other titles are worth talking about, or you have feelings about any of them. I don't know how far you've gotten in them.
Yeah, a lot of these are the games that I've been playing this year up to this point that we bypassed in the last one just to get through a lot of the hot news and end of the year stuff trailing over. So, I've been playing Eastward, Halo Infinite, Nobody Saves the World, Boyfriend Dungeon, and then that's really all that I have to say about those at this
Okay.
point. Dying Light 2, Stay Human.
I was just going to say,
Question?
Eastward, no thoughts yet?
No
Okay.
thoughts yet.
Carry on.
Yeah. Dying Light 2 Stay Human, I think, is the other big contender this year for games that will suck up copious amounts of time at the start of the year due to their open world nature. And I think this is going to be one of those games that is like a great one to pick back up when it's like end of summer lulls. when there's just time on the board and you want something that's kind of, shut the brain off, play the FPS, loot 'em up type of thing. So
does it still have the compelling moral choices?
Who do you voodoo, bitch? Yes.
No, that was Dead Island.
They do reference that.
Wait,
in
really?
this game.
Is it Techland? It is Techland,
Yeah,
right? Yeah,
it's Techland.
Does it still have the moral choices that Chris Avellone was supposed to put in there before he got Me Too'd?
I remember that being such a huge discussion point on preview stuff, and if it is happening, I am not seeing any of the effects, nor is it like.
I'm pretty sure this game went through some pretty bad development hell, so I wouldn't be surprised if they cut it.
Yeah. Speaking of things speaking of games that don't really have their own vision, crystallized. This one is one of those. It feels a lot like one of Techland's earlier games, where it's like interesting mechanics, technically very sound, but world, how to say this, like help me out here, but the reason for interaction, the writing isn't terrible. The dialogue is fine. The characters are fine. It's just like the compulsion to exist in this world is fucking terrible, and the mainline story is just hot dog shit.
I remember when
it's ham-fisted.
It's aggressively like. Okay, this might be bad. But I'm gonna try it. You guys tell me if it's inappropriate. But it feels very European.
I love it.
Like,
I think it feels Ukrainian, personally.
Not a real country.
Not anymore.
It feels like it's gone through a translation that we're missing things, and then also like the only movies that the reference points are a very limited subset of American films.
I feel like go ahead, Jamie. Sorry.
I think what Griffin is trying to say is that it's not like Song 2 Blur. It's more like Park Life Blur.
I love Park Life.
I love Park Life too, but Park Life is...
baby.
Just aggressively European.
I was going to say, when I think of a European game, this is what I think of. I think of a game that is very strong in certain areas and very, demonstrative of technical prowess, and just unbelievably jank in other areas.
Yeah, absolutely. And if that other area is storytelling, then yes, that's it. It feels very Quantic Dream, right? In that it's technically very powerful, but who the fuck proofed this or greenlit any of this direction? I don't know. Night Watch. If you've ever watched that film.
Night Watch.
Night Trap?
I have watched that film, if you want to call it that.
So, needless to say, I won't be playing any more of that game, at least for a couple months until I need the summer lulls.
You'll be having lulls already.
Yeah. Yep.
That's what Horizon's for. That's when you got to give it another go.
That might be when I give it a go. It depends on how crazy this year is for Nintendo.
I think that's where that's where I do think there is a distinct difference between Dying Light and Horizon, in that there is a different kind of brain function that I feel is engaged when I'm playing an FPS versus a third person action game, and to me it's a little bit more low RAM, low CPU usage on the first person versions versus the third.
I feel like it's the other way around for me. First person, I'm just like, what?
Huh, interesting. Yeah.
Hey, I want to talk about a game for a hot second. You guys should check out Vampire Survivors. It's like $4 on Steam, and it's pretty fun.
What is?
So it is. It reminds me of Super Auto Pets, even though it isn't Super Auto Pets. It is a wave-based survival game, I would say, where every time you level up, you choose an upgrade, and all you're doing is really moving your character around. All your weapons are auto fire, so it is kind of like an auto chess type game, I guess, in its way.
In that all games are an auto chess.
Well, no, it's auto chess PvE sort of, although you do move your character, so you have some agency. but like you auto attack, and it's really all about the build. That's how it's really like auto chess. And
All about the build. No
all about
trouble.
the build, and it's like a strangely addicting little humble little baby. There's just something about shooting all the boys. It apes off of Castlevania quite a bit. Lots of kind of cheesy little puns, just about like Castlevania characters and things like that. Castlevania enemies basically ripped off wholesale. Some catchy little beats. Just a few levels. It's early access, but it gets updated like every week or so with new content. And basically, you can't live longer than 30 minutes in these levels. After 30 minutes, death comes out and just kills you. So that's like a win if you get to 30 minutes. And the entire loop of the game is just collecting resources and unlocking new characters and new playstyles. It's not like a hugely substantial game. Like I play it maybe once or twice a week, but it's very fun. And it's fun to experiment with different builds, different types of weapons. And it has some hidden mechanics, like you can combine weapons and items to evolve your weapons into new weapons. So there's some fun secret discovery going on. It's just a fun little game. It's very humble, and it to me, it kind of... It's a similar type of experience of like inexpensive game that totally would have flown under my radar, but is a rollicking good time and continues to be updated and get new tweaks every once in a while, a la Super Auto Pets.
Cool.
Do you think that... So this game, it didn't just come out in the last like week or so, right? It's been kind of shambling around for several months. Do you think there's something that caused it to pop up into your purview, and that's part of the enjoyment, or is it...
So yeah, I saw it promoted. A couple of people whom I follow played it, and then I just saw a few articles about it, and I just decided to grab it because it's literally $4. So I was like, why not give it a shot? And
I hope I bought the right one. I just purchased it on Steam for $2.99.
$3. Sorry, not $4. Yeah, I mean it definitely is like a word of mouth thing, but it's
Okay.
fun. It's a cute little time, and it's a fun way to spend like half an hour if you want to play like a game that doesn't require too much thought, but just has some fun music and has you moving around while maybe a video is running in the background or something.
I will give it a shot.
It's a cute time, and again, it's still being updated, so it's the new weapon evolutions and new features trickle in pretty regularly, more so than Super Auto Pets, which just gets balance updates every once in a while and has a new expansion in the works right now. Oh, also the iOS app.
Nerf the goat.
What does the goat do? It gives you money back when you buy things?
I don't know. The sheep makes goat spawn on death.
Oh, the sheep makes ram spawn on death. The goat is
Rams,
different.
yeah. I don't know.
There's
Is there a goat?
Yeah, I think the
Okay.
goat is in the first expansion.
Oh, well, there.
Yeah.
I don't have that.
I bought it because I was like, why not? $5. Yeah.
Makes sense. Yeah.
And, Jamie, have you tried Super Auto Pets?
No, I should though, because it's on the Apple Arcade.
It's on
right?
iOS. It's totally free. You don't have to pay anything to play the base game. And there is one expansion pack available for $5 if you want to buy it, which gives you new animals.
And there's hats.
There's hats. I don't care about the hats, but
Why couldn't you just let me believe that I'm actually paying for Apple Arcade for a reason?
it's free.
Why couldn't you have
It's
just told
free
me
on
that?
Apple Arcade.
Yes! Awesome! Thanks, Tim. Thanks, Tim Apple.
One of these days, I will play Fantasian.
Nope.
It's
Nobody
good, man.
will.
I play it occasionally. It's a fun little thing. I mean, it's completely forgettable, but it is what it is.
Yeah, Super Auto Pets is real good, and I'm
It's
yeah,
a delight.
it's really fun, and it's another game that you can just pop you can do like an hour or 30 minutes of it and just have a great time, and then you're like, I'm good.
I also especially love it because you can stop at any
Yes.
point and walk away from it, and there's no
consequence.
Like, it's like yeah, I gotta go make dinner. Okay, I'm mid fight. No worries. I'll be back.
It's really great for that. Yeah,
That's crucial.
yeah, because like it is a progressive system, Jamie, where every time you complete a combat, you go to like another round, and the matchmaking selects people at or around your round, but it doesn't matter when you come back to it. It'll just happen when you're ready.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Cool.
it's very nice for that.
I like
yeah.
that.
So it is it just, in that way, Vampire Survivors kind of reminds me of it, because they're both like kind of low commitment games. They're just like fun games that have one idea that is executed well. I think Super Auto Pets is probably a little bit more. I think it's probably a better game than Survivors, even though I like Survivors. Like it does its kind of platonic ideal of its idea better than Survivors does, but it's a well executed idea that you can just enjoy for like half an hour or an hour and then move on with your life and come back to later if you want. Like, it's kind of evergreen.
I'll also say, Jeff, that if Super Auto Pets is representative of auto chess, the genre, I like auto chess. I don't know if that's a dangerous statement, but if that's true, if those suppositions are true, then I am confident in my
Griffin,
answer.
I just want to say I'm really happy that you're enjoying it.
Yeah, it's a ton of fun.
Isn't it though? It's like, I think I would.
I get my ass beat pretty regularly, but I still am enjoying it.
I think that it is probably more accessible than like TFT or something. Like, I don't know. I mean, I think it's the same type of deal. Like, I think, going to the shop, having the same amount of currency each round to spend, like that is TFT in a nutshell. But like, I think it's probably a little easier to get to like grok and understand than some of those games. But yeah,
it feels like the stakes are lower too, just because of like the.
It's cute.
We're all on the same page here when we're dealing with deer and bus and turtle and goat. We're not having to worry about the lore.
And you can be try hard, but like, I think the lack of like a ladder is kind of nice. Like, I don't know. I think there might be something special about this game, but also maybe it's just a really fun genre. Like, I think it's a lot better than like League.
Agreed. I mean, again, I'm coming from not knowing that stuff at all.
But I've played a MOBA or two in my day. Like, I have dabbled in the MOBA scene, and I'm like, oh, this ain't good. Like this.
But that's not a MOBA. This is not a MOBA.
No. I'm just saying, like, I have experienced MOBA Lite and various versions of MOBAs, and I don't like that genre. This is Auto Chess Lite, and I do like this. So maybe I would like Auto Chess the genre as well.
Okay.
I don't know.
I see. Yeah. You're on the same page as me then.
Yeah, it's very fun.
I've still never played in auto chess, and I'm guessing that this one is just as good as any in terms of the first one that I try.
1 for 1, baby. That's what I'm at.
Same. This is my only auto chess game, and I'm really liking it.
Come join Team Auto Chess, JB. It's all we talk about now.
We revived the Discord server. Hey guys, remember Discord?
Speaking of one game that we always talk about, I got to tell you guys a little bit about Genshin Impact.
No, here we go.
So, most recent patch came out, right?
Has boosted drop rates.
Yeah, Miko has been... Sure.
Did they put the Dragalia Lost inside of the Genshin yet? Unfortunately,
no. Hopefully in the future. Well, interestingly, though, no additional Aloy updates with the launch of Forbidden West. I was kind of expecting to see something come alongside that. Maybe they'll do it for
when
like
is she going to get her delusion?
Probably never. Constellations is what we're focusing on right now.
You wanted another round of Aloy polls?
No, she's free. She was free 5-star. So no pulls. Just need to make her a viable character through Constellation use. But so I don't want to go into it because undoubtedly you guys read my top 10 Genshin impacts of 2021. So you kind of know what the stakes are at the moment. But what was super bizarre and what is super bizarre about this game is that the story is just continuing to get weirder and weirder in ways where it definitely feels like this may be symptomatic of a lot of games as service games where because of the free reign nature of it and just kind of like the sprint, here's your monthly deployment of information, of content. We don't really have a major roadmap in mind in terms of the story because we're never going to end anything or conclude anything, and we don't have to, so we're never really going to resolve any of the minor beats. Most recently, the revelation was that there are lizard people living under the world, and they have infiltrated the government. And you can only tell who they are because they have lizard eyes.
Everything that you've said about this game could apply to Metal Gear.
It's true. The story is
Wait,
okay. So the story is insane.
Genshin been red-pilled?
The whole time, man. Yeah. So yeah. Speaking of how freaking insane it is, the new patch, they released a new weekly boss. The weekly boss is your character that you have accompanying you. Gave up her mortal coil to live in a headspace only, a virtual world, one might say, and left her robot corpse modeled after herself in her place, which has developed its own personality, and now you have to fight that robot that refuses to acknowledge its original owner's spirit because it was too well programmed. And
That sounds awesome.
It's fucking cool, man. It's just so weird.
I heard that they told you who Albedo was, so they are answering some questions.
They did, but then in the last second, they fucking pull it back. It's so it's just like the lizard people thing. They're like, actually, the whole lizard people thing isn't true at the end of the quest thing. And you're like, but wait, is this like the Albedo thing where they're like, and actually, he's not the character you thought he was this entire time.
The dragon, right?
And
He's
then there's
something
like,
else.
it's so fucked up, dude. Like,
Don't worry about it. He's
it
a
is
clone, right? Isn't
Metal
he a
Gear
clone?
Solid.
Okay.
Yes.
You know what? Don't go
We'll
there.
just say yeah. If I could tell you the answer, I would, but the answer
the
doesn't
limit
exist.
does not exist.
Yeah. It's just not clear, but it's just so bizarre in what they do to these situations, and you're like, damn, man, like why would you do that? That's
Hey,
so
remember when-
weird. So it continues
Remember
down
when
this path.
Ningguang's attendant was horny for her?
Oh, even like which time?
It's like bold of
Like-
you to include lesbianism in your Chinese game.
Yeah. No, you know what's also really bold is the whole event that happened was about like the Lunar New Year and preparing for it, and the characters like, boy, it's sure hard to have run these events and have to stick to the schedule and overwork ourselves. Boy, it's exhausting to have to do this all the time. And the whole theme of the lunar event was understanding that you're not in this alone, and that self-imposed and boss-imposed deadlines cause people to work themselves to death, and that's not a good culture to have, and we should take time for ourselves and enjoy our... And it's just like,
What is this game?
what is happening?
Genshin's legit good, Jamie. Like I've fallen off.
It's
Not
so
because
weird.
I hate the game, just because I got tired of the service elements to a degree. It's like legit a good game, and it's so generous with what it gives you for free.
But I'm still. This is totally on me. This is a me thing. But I am just afraid of how much I would spend in a game like that. And
I'm not here to convince you to play Genshin Impact. I'm here to just relay that it's doing things that games don't do, especially from dictatorial Chinese or dictator
This is like
countries.
the first, well, it's maybe not the first, but this is like the prestige Chinese game that like puts China's game development community on the map. It's pretty cool for that, I think.
Yeah, it sounds it. Yeah.
It does not feel derivative.
Yeah.
It feels like its own thing.
But that's all I got. I mean, I could talk for hours on it, but it's so fucking
I love it.
weird.
I'm here for it.
Oh yeah, Sony acquired Bungie.
$3 billion. Who cares?
That's about it, right? Fucking drop in the bucket. Nothing.
The Wordle acquisition, though, guys. Low seven figures.
You can't even.
Don't care about that either. Anyone excited about any of the Nintendo Direct crap? Do we care?
Mouthful,
Oh,
baby.
mouthful.
Give me a mouthful of that direct.
I mean, I loved it
Direct
all. It was
in my
great.
mouth.
There was a lot of cool stuff there. Anything we want to talk about, though, or is it all just kind of...
I'm excited for the Kirby's,
Yeah.
and I want to know why it's in a post-apocalyptic world.
The design doc, Jamie. You said it earlier.
Yeah.
We're gonna get it an abilities and a world tease, and then
It was something else.
also the new world in Genshin is a Dark Souls world with Dark Souls
Lovely.
creatures. So it's all the same game.
quick pivot back to Nintendo Direct. Was anyone excited about Xenoblade 3 but literally couldn't understand any of the dialogue?
That's me in all Xenoblade games.
Let's meet with Xenogears.
Yo, Xenogears
You monster.
has the most profound dialogue of all time. Literally.
Doesn't mean I understand it.
Which Xeno game are you more excited for? Xenosaga?
I'm excited
Xeno.
for Chrono Cross.
Oops, that's what I was trying to say there, but I
I'm
beefed
excited for
it.
Chrono Cross. I'll replay that game again.
Yeah.
I thought they
No,
really
thanks.
fucked up the font, but apparently you can choose the old font, so all is forgiven.
Huh. Interesting.
Neither of you really got too far on Xenoblade 2, right? Okay.
No,
I loved
unfortunately. I haven't
Two
gotten far in
open
Xenoblade
world.
1 or 2.
2. Xenoblade
I should play
Xenoblade
them
1,
both.
I never finished. I got pretty far. Xenoblade 2, I had so much fun. It is undoubtedly a weaker plot, but it's wild. It does a lot of strange things.
I want to play it on the train, but then what are the Summit House mommies going to think of me when they see the boob lady
They're
on
gonna
my
be so
Switch?
excited. Also, that Mario Kart 8 DLC, goddamn. 48 new tracks? I'm excited. Also very weird.
Apparently, it's not up to snuff graphically. People were mad about that.
Do
I
not
don't
care.
know if
Compared to
the
what?
default tracks. I've heard that too.
Oh, sure. All the high quality, the high bar.
I
They're
think
beautiful.
those. Yeah.
I'm sure they do. It's just you're talking about a system that's struggling as
I
it's
feel
so.
you.
I don't know. I mean, I think Mario Kart 8 is definitely a showpiece game. It's gorgeous. But I hear you.
I mean, their first party games look great. Like Kirby looks great. I'm excited to figure out how Lance Reddick is going to work into the Kirby universe.
Oh, man.
But no, I'm with you, Griff. I think that Switch 2 is long
please.
overdue. Do you guys? I don't want to go
Yeah.
too off topic, but just real quick, you guys think that Switch 2 is going to coincide with Zelda Breath of the Wild 2? It's going to be a cross-gen thing and all that.
Absolutely.
know.
Okay.
I can't decide. It's definitely coming either like this year or next, I feel like. People who think that comment about the Switch being halfway through its life cycle means anything are... That is ahistorical to think that actually matters. Like, that is what they always say.
The tea leaves, Jeff.
I'm just saying that's what every company says. 10-year plan. Like...
Oh, I'm just saying that people trying to interpret
yeah.
something that Nintendo is saying.
I mean, look, it wouldn't shock me if the supply chain issues and everything else makes them decide, let's milk this another year. They are obstinate, and if they have a good thing going, they'll push it as long as they can, but we know new hardware is being worked on.
Yeah. I forget if I told this on this podcast, but I also think that there's something to be said for this being the next console and there not being an Iwata there to shepherd it. I get from an outsider looking in and not having any insight, obviously. It just feels like not having that face and that spokesperson to champion the new product is feeling like they've got work to do before they bring it and trot it out.
Well, they're going to have to make... I mean, I think that they have done a really good job this generation of sort of reclaiming a core audience. Like, not like hardcore, but like a Nintendo core audience that like appreciates Nintendo products and isn't just the casual crowd, like that is kind of a little bit more fair weathered. So I think that might serve them, but yeah, no, I think it's going to be... They definitely have work to do. I mean, anytime you're putting out a new piece of hardware, you have work to do, and I think especially Nintendo has work to do because they're always expected to have like a story and like a use case. So,
You guys think that we'll see another Mario game on just this current Switch or
I
no?
don't know.
If you had to guess.
We don't have a November game yet. I mean, there is no holiday title, and I don't know what it is. It could be Breath of the Wild.
Right.
I hope it is. I have a friend who's desperately waiting for Breath of the Wild news. But it could be something else.
Silk Song.
I mean, that is apparently per. I listened to Nate the Hate and Modern Vintage Gamer, I guess is the guy's name. He works on Nintendo products. and Nate is like a pretty well respected insider. They were saying that Silksong is like considered to be with the big kids now. Like it probably would not be in an indie direct at this point. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Good.
I like Modern Vintage Gamer. He's the Australian dude who loves Shantae.
Yes, I think he I don't know if he worked on any Shantae or not.
He did the original Shantae GBA re-release
Got
on
it.
Switch, and he reverse engineered like a great emulator for it. I like that guy. He's like, when he talks about Shantae, I'm like, you get it, I
He's
love
a totally-
Shantae.
Yeah.
So, speaking of non-Nintendo people working on Nintendo products, you guys really jazzed about that Mother announcement they made during the Nintendo Direct?
Oh, that one really, really upended the tea table.
Ooh.
They just re-released the same gosh darn games that they released a million times over.
What are
I
you
hope-
thinking?
I hope to see more things coming out in the Octopath engine. If this was a sign of anything, I hope with Live Alive, I hope we see more of that.
Well,
in the
apparently,
future.
Final Fantasy VI Pixel Remaster has the opera scene in HD 2D, which is like kind of not the best of all worlds at all. Like I wish they hadn't done it that way, but because the rest of the game is normal, but the opera scene is HD 2D. But yeah, I think so. I mean, it looks like they're using it for a lot of things. We got Dragon Quest III being worked on. That's coming stateside.
Are you guys excited for
Yay.
Triangle Strategy?
I am
I
so
am.
excited that I have forgot to download
I have not
the
played
demo.
the prologue demo, but I did read online that it's apparently very, very story heavy and light on the battles.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Huh.
I don't know if that's just the first few chapters or what, but I'm kind of like a little bit tempered expectations because of that.
Yeah, again with the dearth of games coming out right now, it's I'm in no rush to go try out the continuation demo, but I will be getting the game when
Yeah.
it comes out, and I do intend to play it and sink time into it this year.
I loved Octopath from a systems perspective. I thought it looked beautiful, and I thought that the gameplay was really fun. The stories were not good, but they were okay. I know Triangle is a different studio, but I'm like kind of having a hard time separating that out and being like, is this going to be a good story? And if they lean heavily on story, are they going to tell it well? I don't know. We'll see.
I just hope that they have the same weird ass voice actors that they did in the demo.
They do.
back.
They're
Fuck
not good.
yes. So
not good.
weird. I feel like this is gonna be a great year for weird shit with the Final Fantasy Doom haters for Doom guys or whatever it's called, Sweet Jackets and Sweeter Jacks,
Man,
or Sweet Jackets and
holding
Sweeter
his cell
Johns.
phone while getting married. Just absolutely top 10 moment in all of gaming.
That plus the weird voice acting and Triangle Strategy, man. Kirby fucking mouth chugging shit. I love it.
It does feel like it's going to be a pretty strong year. I'm pretty excited about what lies ahead. I think we already got one great game this year with Pokemon, and plenty more seem to be headed down the pipeline, like you said, Griff.
Yeah, baby.
I'm pumped.
Well, I think that's a good place to end it here. We'll talk to you next month, right? After we get through some games.
Yeah.
Cool. Thanks for
Yeah,
chatting,
it's been
gentlemen.
fun as always.
Thank you. Yeah.
All right. Well, as we always say,
Oh man.
You'll just get Eddie Vedder. All right, bye guys.
bye.
Bye. That's good.
We don't know.
Don't forget to use your lead
Don't
balls.
grade it in the grinder.
Idris Elba signs into Sonic 3.
It's not going to be sexy.
Oh, but impossible.